Manchester United 1, Brighton 3, a demolition at Old Trafford. It well and truly was. We're going to delve into that. Tottenham also lose 3-2. A very late goal gave Spurs a bit of hope, but they were comprehensively blown away in the first half by Everton. Hit the like button. Make sure you are subscribing. If you haven't done so yet, get the bell notifications turned on as well. Lots to talk about on the Full Fan Highlight Show this afternoon. United fans, Tottenham fans, get your comments in, get your views in. We've got a brand new feature coming soon to our match reactions that no other fan channel in the world has. And we cannot wait to introduce it to you. But a hold back from, we were going to do like a little bit of an intro, but we didn't want it because there's a lot of thieves out there. And we'll be launching that in just over a week's time. So if you enjoy our match reactions, the first of their kind as ever, panel show match reactions, they're about to get even better, a brand new bit of innovation to make them even more fun. But look, I'm going to start with Manchester United. But we beat Southampton. That's not what I said, though, is it? I'm not that much in a bad mood today. I'm really not. I'm not surprised. Nothing about today's game from a United perspective shocked me, confused me, worried me. I had more concern on Friday when I saw United fans putting up our next 5 fixtures saying that looks like we could get 5 to 6 wins. Delusional. Brighton have Manchester United's number and have done for a number of years. I think they've beaten us 6 of the last 7 times we've played them in the Premier League. Home and away, 3 on the bounce. This was always going to be a tough game. There's something about Man United, Brighton, the way they play, with this group of players. They have our number. And the biggest standout takeaway I have from today as a collective is this team lacks athleticism. Huge athletic issues in this team. Brighton, if you look through each of the positions on the field of play today, typically speaking, Brighton had better to superior athletes. And I'm talking about strength when holding onto the ball and pace. Their strength and their pace in their side is just superior to that of Manchester United. United fans have known this for a while. We know that we need to get the technical levels of the team up. But football is going through a period where having strength, having power, having speed, having good acceleration is a massive substitute for maybe not having the best football players in the world. If you look at Bournemouth and how well they're doing, you look at Brentford's success for the money they spend, you look at Brighton as a case in point. You look at Nottingham Forest up near the top of the league right now. Good technicians in their team. They have got some very good technicians. But what they also have a lot of is speed, strength, acceleration, pace. And Man United lack that in an abundance. And if we do any business this January, it has to be in that area. We have to look at people and say, do you know what? I'm not saying get no technical ability. I don't want Traore as an example, right? But we need a combination of the two because we are weak in that area. That was problem number 1 today. Problem number 2, individual errors again today, a big problem for Man United. The opening goal, Maz, who's been brilliant for us this season, but just caught sleeping, not really concentrating. He was also facing straight forward. And if you've ever played football, he wasn't on his toes. He wasn't to the side slightly. So by the time he turns and starts running, Brighton are away. He doesn't have the recovery speed like a Kyle Walker to fix that problem. But that was just a lack of concentration, ball watching. They're in and it's 1-0. We then played okay for the next 23 minutes and scored. But so much of that was Brighton sitting back and saying, we'll just try and counter-attack them. As soon as we equalize, Brighton took over that game again. And I wasn't, in the game against Southampton, I was very annoyed about how deep our fullbacks were. They weren't deep today. They pushed up. Our centre-backs were aggressive in coming out to win the ball. That element of the game, I was really happy with. I don't want much more. We just were not getting to the ball. It wasn't for a lack of trying. It wasn't people triggering the press in the wrong place. Now, there might be some examples of that, but I'm talking generally here. Brighton were just faster than us. And there's little or nothing. No amount of shouting into a camera, no amount of writing letters to the club, phoning into a talk sport, screaming is going to fix that problem. It can only be fixed in the transfer market. There's no amount of coaching from Amorim to make these players run faster. And that's a real big issue. I thought for the second goal, my first thought was Maz sleeping again at the back post or not attacking the ball well enough. And I stand by that. I'll get onto Onana in a minute before some of you cry. He should be attacking that ball a lot more than he did. All fullbacks at all times should be doing that. But on reflection, watching the replay a few more times, Onana goes to come out, he stops, he hesitates, and he goes backwards. He should be coming out and claiming that ball. He really should. The third goal, nothing good about it from a Brighton perspective. I don't even want to call that an error leading to a goal. It's beyond that. And for me, I've said it before, I should have stuck to my guns and I'm sticking to them now. I will praise Onana for the rest of the season when he makes great saves, when he helps keep us in games. I'll say, well done, good save. But there is nothing he can do, in my opinion, to change my mind that he has to go. There are too many unforced errors from him. Now, it was 2-1. They may have gone on to score a third goal anyway. Who knows? But at 2-1, we could have a lucky deflected shot bounce in and we draw the game, we get a point. And points are important. Doesn't mean we won't review the performance in the same way. But that mistake just took the game completely out of sight for us. And it isn't his first, and I doubt it's going to be his last. There's just far too many unforced errors from him. Far too many. Horrendous. I know some people will defend him. Oh, he saved us last week. He did this the other week. Yeah, great. We need better than that. Man United need better. No attack on him as a person. I'm not calling him any names. No pejoratives like you're probably doing to me right now. I'm just saying he isn't good enough to be where we want to be as a football club. But overall, look, Brighton deserved it. I'm taking nothing away from them. I thought Belieber in the middle, just brilliant. Good on the ball, great strength, great power. And I'll give you an example. I look at Mainu. Mainu's an excellent football player. He isn't blessed with an abundance of pace. That isn't a problem if Ugarte and Bruno and our wing backs in this system, because they come into the midfield and you attack, are all pacey. If we have Frimpong out there as an example, if we have Belieber in the middle as well, if we had Cunha playing in one of those 10 roles as an example, I'm just giving you names of players that have got some speed about them. If we have an experienced centre-back or two behind us who, again, got good pace. Say you had Saliba and or a Van Dijk, and I'm just using them for their speed here. Don't get triggered by the names. Let's be grown-ups. It's okay for Mainu not to be the quickest player in the world. Not every single Brighton player is super quick. But they understand that you can't have 4, 5, 6, 7 outfield players that lack very good pace. I don't think you can do that in the Premier League anymore. That's almost been the evolution. Southampton, who are sitting bottom of the league, I don't know what the final score in their game was. It was 3-2 last time I checked. They lack technical ability and quality. What they have a lot of is athleticism, speed, power. It's important in the Premier League. And you see it in a lot of their games. It's only their lack of quality that has led to a lot of their trying to play out from the back when they probably shouldn't, as an example, has led to a lot of their problems this year. But they cause teams issues when they press and they're up the other end of the pitch because of that speed and power. And United need to add more into it. And what the club need to do, fans will have their own opinions. I'd like to get yours. Certain players are going to have to be sacrificed whether you like them or not. It could be Mainu. It could be Garnacho, as we've already seen. We don't have enough players with a good... We need technical ability, yes. So that's why I favour keeping someone like a Mainu. But we need to add more speed, more power, more acceleration into this side over the next 2 to 3 transfer windows. It's so important indeed. So look, there's a lot of people shouting things like United are back and everything else. That's why I told Man United fans when we drew with Liverpool, when we knocked out Arsenal a week ago, when we came back and beat Southampton, feet firmly on the ground. Don't get carried away. Don't start tweeting bollocks about winning the next 5, 6 games. Don't start any of that crap. Keep your powder dry. Keep it humble. 3 to 4 years to fix this football club. It's just going to take that long. There's no doubt about it. It's going to take that long. We've added time to that. because instead of a full pre-season of implementing a new style and bringing in all the signings for it, well, all the first kind of trench of signings for it in that summer, we've started a year late because Dan Ashworth made a bad decision. He has therefore been sacked. But it's going to take 3 to 4 years to fix this. Good results, bad results. Keep your feet firmly on the goddamn ground. It was never going to be fixed overnight. So any Man United fan out there, the manager this, the players that, why aren't we better? What did you expect? Everybody with a football brain knew how long this was going to take. Equally, everyone getting carried away with a really good win, slow yourselves down. It's not going to be fixed that quickly. Loads of problems in this team. Well done to Brighton today. They did deserve it. I want to take nothing away from them whatsoever. Phenomenal club. I said before, pound for pound, the best run team in England. From a Tottenham point of view today, look, they kind of came back into it in the second half. A mistake from Pickford, a really good finish, by the way, from Kulusevski. A very late goal from Richarlison, and they sort of gave themselves a glimmer of hope. There are loads of injuries. The squad is threadbare for Big Ange Postecoglou. They sit 15th in the league, and they've got to make a really big decision. They've got to decide whether they stick with Ange, but you've got to buy him the level of player he needs to make his system work. And I'm talking squad-wise, so that when you eat, because you're going to get some injuries. I know you've got more than you probably expected, but you're always going to get injuries. There can't be a massive drop-off when 3 or 4 players get injured, because that's more likely than no injuries. So the Tottenham board have got to make a big decision. Do we stick with Big Ange and give him the money and buy the personnel that he can get the best out of? Or do we say, thank you, it's not your fault, Ange, but we're going to move on to a manager who's better suited to the caliber of player that we can sign? That is the decision for Tottenham. It really, really is. And if you buy like a really nice sports car that runs on petrol, you can't put cheap, crappy petrol in it, cheap, crappy oil in it, rubbish tires. If you do that, the car will underperform. The engine will have a really bad reaction to the oils and the petrols and the fluids that you're running through it, because they're not high level, they're not premium. Everything needs to be the best of the best in those cars. Otherwise, you'll break it, you'll ruin it, you'll damage it. And that's kind of what Tottenham's board have done here to Spurs and Big Ange. I think there's a really good manager in there. Sometimes I criticize him, I know, but I think there's someone that if you gave him the Liverpool squad, I think he could be top of the league. If you gave him the Real Madrid squad, it'd play outrageously good football with Real Madrid. I think they'd be top of the Liga. But you give him Atletico Madrid, no. You in the Premier League, you give him Tottenham, no. And I'm not comparing Tottenham with Atletico. I'm just saying Atletico Madrid don't have the very best squad in their league, right? You've got to give him the right tools. You've got to give him the right players for him to deliver to his optimum, consistent best. And they're not doing that. And I think too many Spurs fans are caught in the middle on this. It's either Ange in, Ange out. They're not looking at the bigger picture. Can you give Ange what he needs? If the answer's no, then your club has to move on from him. Doesn't mean he's a bad manager. Because I saw them today against Everton. I know they're scrapping and fighting. New manager, David Moyes, back at home. I know there was an energy about them. But Calvert-Lewin hasn't scored in 17 games, and he looked brilliant today. And I'm not even having a go at Dragusin. I'm not having a go at young Archie Gray, who's 18, 19, playing out of position for all this time. But Everton really knew they had a great chance in this match. They really fancied it. And yes, you came back, but they blew you away. And I'm at a point when I'm looking at Tottenham now, and yeah, everyone can laugh and banter, Tottenham get battered everywhere they go. But I think let's have a grown-up conversation. It's more than just their tactics here. It's the way they're being run. It really, really is. But look, I want to get your thoughts, feelings, and opinions. I'm going to bring the panel out in a few moments. I'm going to go to the super chats now because I want to get your views on today's games. This is from Owen, who says, we need a new goalkeeper, man. He is awful. Even the second goal, he just stands on his line. David De Gea got dogs abuse for less. Absolutely. I mean, I've been called a lot of things online since saying Onana's got to go. I mean, I've just blocked the people that have done it, to be fair, because I don't need to tolerate it. He ain't good enough. I wish he was. I was so excited when he came in. I watched a lot of Inter's games the season before we bought him. I watched a lot of Inter's games. Champions League and in Serie A. And I was so excited about what he could bring to us. I would say at United, his distribution has been nowhere near the level I expected. And the volume of mistakes. He was the reason we went out in the group stage of the Champions League last year. As bad as we were all season, we didn't have a great year. So the majority amount of games, that we went out of because of his mistakes, or that we were in trouble in because of his mistakes. Yes, he saved the penalty in one of the only games we won at the end, and I said, well done to him. But he just isn't good enough. There's too many unforced errors, too many mistakes, far too problematic to try and get us back to the top, in my opinion. Jay here says, in the last 7 Premier League games, Brighton have won 6 against United, 3 wins in a row at Old Trafford. Truly their owners. They are, Jay. And listen, Man United fans, don't get triggered by it. Just accept it. You're going to get a lot of rivals. I've had Ches, who only turns up when Man United lose. Never when Chelsea lose. Never when Man United win. But it's the nature of the beast. This is Man United fans have got to be aware. We're everybody's biggest rival. The deep lying underlying fear that all these same rivals have is that we can get back to the top. All of them have been through rebuilds and know how long this takes. So they are going to lay it on thicker now than ever before. And they're going to focus more upon the owners and the managers than ever before, because they understand that those guys doing the right things over a prolonged period of time could get us back to the top. And they don't want that. United fans have got to develop thick skin, support the club, and just learn to be patient. If you're not, it's going to be a very horrible 3 or 4 years for you. Amorim is arrogant for keep playing Mainu as an 8. Where do you think he should be playing him, D? I'd love to get your opinions on that, my friend. David Hawks is United are back. Said no one on the Football Terrace. Maybe some scrub channel said that, but I don't know. I don't know who has said it. I don't think any self-respecting Man United fan who's a content creator has said that. If they're a TikToker, maybe. No one else has said it. Jerome here, who is, of course, a Spurs fan, says, I can't anymore tell. Losing to Everton is just not acceptable, even with injuries and all. The club is criminal for not even bringing one outfield player that helps the team. Listen, I hear you. I mean, Arsenal have had a lot of attention this January for not bringing anybody in yet. But Man United, my club, haven't. And we are screaming out for some energy, some legs, some pace, some power, of course, some technical ability. And Tottenham with all your injuries again. Because you're being dragged towards a relegation battle. And I know you're going to be getting players back soon. Genuinely, you're 15th. You're a couple of places above. And listen, Ipswich will probably lose today. But if Ipswich win and Wolves were to beat Chelsea, which is not inconceivable, you could be 5 points off the bottom. The relegation zone. Signings are needed. I'd take Tahibi over Onana. See, I wouldn't go that far. I remember Tahibi clearly. He was terrible. But yes, he just isn't good enough. And this reminds me, I remember we bought Bosnich after Schmeichel wasn't good enough. Tahibi wasn't good enough. Even Barthez wasn't good enough. Man United have not had a great track record in my life of having great goalkeepers. It took us a while. I think it took us like 5 years to get to Van der Sar. Fairness, we went from Van der Sar to David De Gea, who started off slowly as a youngster. He was pretty good. But then again, we're struggling again now. And I've been through this before as a United fan. Getting a top-class goalkeeper is very, very important. Joshua Jack here says, I don't understand why people are shocked by this. We stinked out a win by a solo job against the worst team in the league. We should not use the phrase winnable because we have no winnable games. Yes, because the phrase winnable means we're more likely to win than not. I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. I don't think many Man United fans are shocked. I think what you get online is people that give it the big un, knowing that we might lose, so that when we do lose, they can overreact. Well, I was confident because of this and that. You guys, you get some United fans soon online that will start doing the whole Amorim's a fraud. They'll probably start turning on players like Mainu as well. He's a fraud. And what they mean by that is I purposefully over-egged how good they were. I flaunted it. I rubbed it in the faces of all my rivals. Now that we've had a few problems, I'm going to pretend to be offended, like they defrauded me, like a dodgy tax call that you get. This is exactly what their plan of action is. It's like build it up and lie, just so they can lie at the other end and say how offended they all are. When actually the truth's in the middle. No Man United fan should be shocked by today. Disappointed to lose, yes, of course. But this is why I keep saying to everybody all along, there's going to be peaks and troughs. Look at the last month and a half. There's been peaks. Great performance against Liverpool. Nearly won it. Got the draw. Brilliant resilience, performance, knocking out Arsenal. A great comeback against Southampton. We've got some good European nights. Needs the Champions League, I lied. Some good European nights. And then there's been some real lows. Bournemouth, Forest, Brighton today. There's been some good performances where we've messed up and had mistakes and lost. There's been some bad performances like Southampton, where some good moments won us the match. It's going to be like this. It's going to be like this for a while because we're not changing manager. We haven't changed manager. We're completely restructuring the football at the club, the way we play, the way we train, the way we operate, the profiles we need. Anyone who thought this was going to be easy is a moron, which is why I said if we get this in place over the next 3 or 4 years and it works, when Amorim does go, you don't rebuild again. So if you rebuild, you do this again. You just continue. Oh, one day people will learn football and stop talking shit. Spot on, Terry. Bournemouth, Brentford, Brighton, Forest, and even Southampton play with more energy than United. We need athletes in this team. It is very true. If we had more athletes out there today, the game would have been different. The game would have been different. And a few years ago, we had quite a lot of athletes in the team. We just haven't bought enough. We haven't purchased enough athletes. It's as simple as that. And then we have ones like Rashford that were in the team, very quick. Didn't want to do the pressing. Imagine if you had Ahmad and Rashford pressing at the front. Look how many times Ahmad wins that ball. It's because he's hungry for it and wants it. Plus, he's got the athleticism. You need both those things combined. Arsenal foul to win. Our rivals foul harder. Mashallah. Listen, that's why I kept my mouth firmly shut yesterday. Euro, another Martial sign for vibes and not a plan. Martial is a very good player for Man United. Scored many goals. Helped us win trophies. When you say without a plan, there is a plan. He's a young player that needs to be nurtured and developed. Anyone thinking a centre-back his age is going to come in and be world-class. Again, doesn't understand football, and he's a little bit stupid. Or a liar, again. So, yeah, I'm not worried about the development of Euro. Small teams rise to the occasion against big ones. That's why United got the results against Liverpool and Arsenal. Old and full of wisdom and saying in Spanish. Old and full of wisdom, old saying in Spanish. Yeah, look, there's certainly an element of that. There is certainly an element of that indeed. And of course, what United tried to do today was open up a little bit more and attack a bit more, as opposed to when we're away at Arsenal and Liverpool, we're a bit more compact. Absolutely. Which when people go, Amorim doesn't know how to change his tactics. Well, there he did in those 2 games, silly people. Speed was a massive key difference between the 2 teams today. And one has had its club system and style and approach for many years. You know, Brighton don't rebuild its footballing philosophy every time they change head coach. It stays practically the same with some adaptations, which is why it's always in recent years been so seamless. If only people would listen. Onana plays again. Amorim out. Well, that's up to you, my friend. I will say where I do agree with you is the only defense. I understand where you're coming from. My only defense is I don't think Bayender is much better. Yes, he had a good time after he saved the Arsenal penalty. Watch him every time before that. Or I don't actually think he's much better if I'm being honest, but I get you. Today is the epitome of a certain chunk of this fan base being massive shitbags. 3 weeks in, and we've improved 0. Still nothing against Levy and co. Yeah. Do you know why a lot of people won't call out owners? Is because when you call out owners, people go, "There's nothing we can do." Yes, there is. Stop giving you money. Stop going to games. Stop buying tickets. Stop buying merchandise. Cancel your subscriptions. Don't go on the website. Don't use the stadium. There's 7 things you could do instantly. But then I'll lose my space in the ground. So you going to games is more important than forcing out the people you say are ruining your club. Shows you. I've said it before, but I'll say it again. I don't care if it offends people. You going to games shouldn't be more important than your club being run by the right people. What do you love more, going to games or your football club? Because I think there's a distinction there. But again, we'll just blame the rich people in the room and never take any accountability for what we do. It annoys me so much. This year says Ange is not a bad manager. He only made a mistake where he went 5 at the back, as we could see, is desperate. Club is criminal. It's been 3 weeks in and no outfield players. Listen, I hear you, Jerome, 100%. Is fatigue tax a factor in all of this? Look, Brighton have played similar amount of games to Man United. Everton have played a similar amount of games to Spurs in the last 6 weeks. So no. I love how competitive the league has become. It's the best. Listen, that is very true. That is very, very true. The Premier League is amazing. It's the best league in the world. There's no doubt. Terry Ramsdale was available last summer. He would have been brilliant for United. I'll be honest with you. I still don't think he is as good as I want. I've seen him make a lot of errors at Arsenal as an example. But if you ask me, if you said now, Terry, you've got 2 choices, that's it. Keep Onana or get Ramsdale, I'd probably go for Ramsdale. Onana's mistakes, the way I would describe them is I stop looking and then they happen because they're so bad. It's like, okay, well, that ball is trickling to the goalie. So I'm going to look over here. Where's he going to pass it to? I'm looking at the screen. Oh, my God. Oh, shit. What the fuck? They're so bad. They're so bad. One thing with Aaron Ramsdale, though, he does stare at pigeons a lot, and that freaks me out. United keep the unicorn Garnacho. Nah, don't want him at Chelsea. Fuck that. I can't believe I've been hearing that. I mean, this is the irony. I've got Chelsea fans like Ches, right? Ches, you got to come on the show and answer for these things because you say it in group chats and then you don't come on camera, and it's not being a good boy. But basically, they'll say things like, I trust Clear Lake, I trust the recruitment, I trust the plan. They're legitimately heavily linked to the 2 players they slag off and criticize the most in our group chats, but they don't talk about their club trying to buy them. Let's go. I want to hear. I want to hear from you. You say you don't need a rebuild when Amorim leaves, but when what's happened? Sorry, what's going to happen to the 4 wing backs that the club has 0 wingers eventually? Well, this is the thing posted. If we do this, I mean, this is how my brain sees this. I don't see it as basic as you do. For me, it's a case of the manager that we bring into, say we build a really good squad and there's 4 wing backs and we have 4 players that can play the kind of 10-stroke winger role. Those 2 ways of looking at this. We need to bring in a coach who also, like Alonso, who operates in a similar system, or you buy profiles of players who can adapt, where maybe you say, because remember, all clubs, 4, 5, 6 players leave in the summer, 4, 5, 6 come in on average. So maybe if you are going to change, it's still got to be a manager that goes, right, that 23-man squad, that works for me. It's amazing. They're brilliant. What I would like to do, though, is go to a 4-3-3. I know that all your sort of 10-stroke wingers, they can play wide or they can play centrally. Great. The fullbacks, though, those 2 can adapt. I don't think those 2 can. So let's look to sell those 2, raise those funds, and bring in actual left back and right back. It's not a massive overhaul that's needed. I don't think it's something that we need to spend too much time focusing upon. For me personally. So yeah, I'm not overly worried about that, my friend. I'm not overly worried about it at all. When a player comes to United, question their ambition. Yeah, I'd love to ask you a question, English. Like, digs are fine. I can take them. But I want to ask you a question back. Where do you see Man United in 4 or 5 years' time? I'd love for you to put that in writing. Spurs and United fans trolling Arsenal for a draw, then lose. What do I tell you? What do I say all the time? I got called out for it loads today. Terry, the football gods aren't real. They are real. Every culture known to man and all the major religions talk about arrogance and pride and what comes when there's too much of it. They all talk about it, right? Every single one of them. Football gods ain't real. No, not literally. There isn't literally some mythological football god. But every culture, every religion talks about giving it Billy fucking big balls and being arrogant and what comes after that. So learn not to fucking do it. The world would be a nicer place. It really would. At least wait for your game to be over. Come on. They are real anyway. I believe in them. Terry, you're too patient with your club. No, I'm not. I'm not too patient at all. I've criticized things today. So I know that there's some rivals that want to just see me go, Amorim out. Sell all the players. We're never getting back to the top. We're shit. We're done. We're a dusted club. Full stop. That's enough analysis. And that's what some Man United fans online will do. And that's enough analysis for rivals. So they go, yes, it's like a little dopamine release in their head. It's like a little shot in the arm. Oh, Terry doesn't like his club. Oh, that's what it is. And I get that's what some people want. But what I'm doing is criticizing our problems, calling out the holes in our squad, singling out individuals in the game that had a bad moment. In other games, I've criticized the manager's starting lineup or his substitutions. So there is constructive criticism. But I also know how long it's going to take to rebuild a club from the ground up when we're changing our footballing style, where 80% of the squad's going to be overhauled, where we're literally ripping everything out and pulling it all in new again. It's not about me being too patient. It's about having an understanding about how long these things take. Show me multiple cases of clubs similar size to United, in the doldrums as long as us, who are going through a seismic, complete club restructuring like we are, who turned it round in the first 6 months after sacking a manager. Show me the examples, and I will be less patient. Unless you can provide them to me, objectively, you're just wrong. That's it. Terry, fucking hold Ineos accountable. What a disgrace. They are 19th of January. But you've just heard me speak about how frustrated I am that we haven't signed anybody yet this month. Jamie, you have heard me, and you're in all my streams. So it really does frustrate me that you say things like this when I've said wrong that we haven't signed anybody so far this January. Horrendous decision to let Dan Ashworth decide to keep Ten Hag in the summer as an example. I've called them out for things to do with tickets, etc. I have called them out. I have held them to account. That has been done. Just because I'm not threatening them or calling them nasty names does not mean I haven't called them out. I'm probably the most consistent Man United fan online for calling out owners over the last 17 years. I was the only one who was willing to sacrifice any connection with the club financially. I'd asked every single other United fan channel to join forces with me to push the narrative to boycott the club, to make them sell earlier. Not one, other than Alice Talks Football, agreed to join for multiple reasons. Some reasons I understood, and I respect them all. But don't sit here and tell me that I don't hold the owners of my club accountable. No fan online has said and done more than I. Some have done loads, by the way. I'm not saying no one's done anything, but come on, Jamie, do better than say that to me, of all damn people. Let's bring out the panel now to have their say. Terry, people want you to explode. Oh, no, they do. And the thing is, you can't be that angry every week either. I'm very fortunate. I have a very nice life. I had a very good career in banking before this, which I forged out of nothing myself. My kids, touching wood, are really, really good children. They're healthy. They're happy. My family at the moment, all happy, healthy. I'll get annoyed at football, and there's some days where I'm fuming, but I find it impossible to be angry every minute, every day at my club. It's not there. I don't think people that are angry every minute, every second, every day at their club are even actually angry about that. I think it's a bit of a deflection from other things in their life. But yeah, I'm not going to explode all the time. It's just not going to happen here because I can't. It's as simple as that. Terry, you're less passionate though. I disagree. My passion for patience is probably at the height it's ever been. And I'm extremely disappointed with Man United fans who still haven't cottoned on to how big the problems are at the club. Remember, these are all the same people. The ones you want me to behave like are the people that have never addressed the root cause problems at this club long enough. The owners, the way we've been structured. It's always been manager in, manager out. Pogba's a virus. Rashford's a this. Bruno that. Fellaini's the problem. They've all been proven wrong the whole time. So why would I ever act like any of them? Why would I act like the people that I have beaten in every single debate surrounding this for 11 years? Why would I do it? Why would I behave like them when they're fundamentally and objectively wrong? Let's bring the panel out now. KJ's here. Orchy's here on the show. Matt, of all people, is here. We will come to you, Matt. KJ, not a great day today for Man United. Talk to me, bro.
I think pound for pound, we have the worst constructed squad in the world. pound for pound. If you look at every single club in the world, how much money they spend on transfers, how much money they spend on wages, how much money they spend on managers and managers' wages, we have the worst constructed squad in the world. And today this goes to show that, because we'll get onto Arnana in a moment, but Brighton came to Old Trafford once again and outplayed us once again. They played a better football. They have players that actually can keep up with the speed of the game, keep up with the speed of the Premier League, impose themselves on the opposition, fight for every ball, win nearly every ball, can create chances and play football. They can do everything that we can't. And this is the problem with Man United. We have a poorly constructed squad. Now, I'm not saying every single player is terrible and crap and all of them should be, all of them should never play football again. I'm not saying that. I'm saying as a collective, it don't work. It don't make no sense. And we can't move forward like this. We have to get new players in. And unfortunately, you can only do that twice a year. And unfortunately, we don't have the financial position in terms of FFP to just get rid of everybody and then buy a whole new 11 in the summer in January. So overall, the quality of Man United is just being laid bare, and it's not that good. It really isn't that good. And we'll have moments where we'll draw with Liverpool with a good performance. We'll knock out Arsenal with a good performance. One of our players in Anad will score a hat-trick to win a game. But to ask for that on a consistent basis is just not going to happen. We need better players. We need more players. And we need the manager to get those players correct. You know, you got to make sure that in game, when things aren't going right, that he makes the right decisions. And obviously, Amorim, he's just come in, he's young, and he's still, honestly, still learning to be a manager at the highest level. Like, he's at Sporting doing well, but now at Man United, the biggest club in the world, or one of the biggest clubs in the world. So it's going to take time to adjust. So I'm not expecting him to be the finished article whatsoever. So he needs to learn from this moving forward. But Man United, we're not in a good spot. I've said to many people, it's about surviving. It's about not getting relegated. And all I can say really is I hope in the summer we get good players and we have to go again. We actually just have to make it to the summer without getting relegated. And then maybe we might see some kind of change. But a very upsetting day. The team weren't good enough. We got outplayed. And then Onana just cemented himself as one of the worst keepers that we've had at Man United. And I like Onana. I like his personality. I like how he tries to always see the best in life and see the best in himself and his teammates and stuff like that. So I got nothing wrong with that. But there's too many times where he has cost us games. There's too many times where he will not help the situation and make it hard for us to win. And listen, as much as he's been brilliant sometimes in this season with some of these amazing saves, double saves, keeping this game in games, all we ask of you is just keep us in games. And if you win us games as a goalkeeper, that's a bonus. But all you have to do is keep us in games and don't give the opposition a chance to absolutely blow us away. And he does that. He will do that.
You take Ramsdale.
No, hell, bro, shut up, man, with Ramsdale. He also sucks. You know what I mean? He also sucks as well. We need just a competent keeper who doesn't get easy claims wrong, who doesn't get easy shots wrong. That's the problem with Onana. The hardest shots that you think you won't be able to save, he flipping saves it. The double saves, he saves it.
Onana is like the goalkeeper equivalent of like Kai Havertz or more so Nico Jackson. It will score certain goals, it will win certain games for you, it would be important. But then when you go, oh, that's an easy one, or oh, that's going to be a goal, they miss it. And it's like, oh, how's that happened? Or that's going to be an easy save. Fucking hell, how we just conceded. It just isn't good enough. I absolutely agree, mate. I absolutely agree.
Yeah, so like he's just cemented himself as a player that needs to be moved on. I don't know if he will be the first one to go or the last, but he needs he needs to be moved on. And so do most of these players. And I don't care, man. I'm not scapegoating. Just to the Baba, I'm not scapegoating on Arna. I'm just saying he did crap today, and I'm calling him out for his rubbishness. The rest of the team were also crap as well. Like, there's not much more to say.
No, mate, I totally agree. As I said in my opening monologue, I just felt the last couple of games I was annoyed about the commitment and the aggression. For the last game, sorry. Today it was just I was watching it and I was kind of laughing and just saying, there's not much we can do. Brighton were just faster to the ball than us. And I know some will say they wanted it more. I know my players too well. Bruno just can't sprint any faster than he's sprinting. Ugarte can't move any quicker. I know you love it, KJ, but we need some more P&P in this team massively.
Yeah, listen. People like to make fun of me because you like P&P. You can't. There's nothing you can do if someone's quicker than you. There's nothing really much you can do if someone's stronger than you. It just is what it is. There's natural advantages that in football, there's not much you can do about. And those advantages are advantages. And we need more of that. I know we need more technical ability, and I agree with that. But if you're telling me that all of our players are second to the ball, always losing 50-50s, I'm sorry, but get me some P&P in this team. Get me some pace, get me some power, get me some strength.
If you look at Brighton, I know he's been injured, but Solly March came back on today. Solly March is a very technically proficient footballer. If they had 11 Solly Marches in different positions, they wouldn't be as good as they are. When you've got players like Matoma, Baliba, Minta, all these guys, they've got just their speed and their explosiveness over 4 or 5 yards is so key. And in football, that first 4 or 5 yards is a game changer. And I hope and pray, well, in our scouting, that is what we're looking at, because we just listen. Who have we got in our team really that over the first 5 to 10 yards is electric? Who? I don't know if we. Ahmad.
Ahmad is literally the only one. Rashi lost his explosiveness. Shaw lost his explosiveness. Like everyone else who's had explosiveness is their bodies are shot. Yeah. Their bodies are shot. And I want to say one last thing, and then we can move on to Spurs, because obviously there's more of them, and I'm pretty sure they're going to have their say on how bad their club is also, because mine also sucks. But I see a lot of people chatting about Amorim, chatting about his system, this, that, and the third. He doesn't suit the players, so why is he playing it? All these things. We should have brought in a coach that played closer to what Oli did, or what Ten Hag did, or what these players are used to. Here's the problem with that. We get rid of the back three today, and we play how Rude plays under when he was interim. Guess what? That wasn't good enough either. If we kept on playing this counter-attacking, super defensive football just to get results, just to maybe steal a cup, when we're trying to progress forward, it won't work, because then you're buying players for that system. And then when that finally gets tired and we need to actually progress beyond the ball and do all that, those players won't be able to do it. Because guess what? We're seeing it now. So people are saying they want more of what we've got now just because it's.
I'll be honest with you. Now. Most Man United fans are not saying it. Some are online for attention, but they're normally nameless, faceless accounts. I don't care about their opinions. Rivals are pushing for it because rivals know one of Man United's biggest problems in the last 11 years is never having or sticking with a manager with a set style and developing a brilliant team for that particular brand of football and continuing it. What they want, every single right, and I know you're all smiling, sitting at home listening. What you all want is for us to do what Ten Hag did, abandon his principles and build some weird hybrid that has no medium to long-term future. So, yeah, I reject that notion whatsoever. And again, the system wasn't a massive issue for us today. We just weren't getting to the ball first. We were getting pushed and bullied off the ball. You know, the goalkeeper made 2 big mistakes for the first couple of goals. They should score here, City. Oh, they went over. 2 mistakes for their goals as well. And I just look at it and think, more speed, more power, more technical ability, and it will change things. Viewers, give us your thoughts and feelings and opinions. There's a few super chats I want to do on United because I know we're going to go into Tottenham next. Terry, you talk about building for the future for a new style of football at United, but do you honestly feel 3 at the back will be the future? Well, let's see. I mean, you've got to. What I would applaud some rival fans to do, and maybe you wouldn't have super chatted then, so I appreciate it. The manager has said that he's not averse to maybe using a 4 at the back. He doesn't see it as too much of a difference. He said he will adapt if he needs to. But I'm not that worried. I'm not that concerned. and we've seen certain managers do well with it before, and I'm sure it can be successful again. But we'll see. I'm not gonna lose faith in it this early. We've got to give it more time. This Garnacho crap better be bullshit. No, it's not. Chelsea are genuinely looking at him. Don't understand any circumstances. Bring the unicorn to my club. Why go after him? We have got Willian coming. I don't understand. I am lost. Listen, I think that's where look. If you are looking at him and if you are looking at Mainu, it means that a couple of your other wide players and or central midfielders on the club are obviously not happy with them at this moment in time. So that would be my take. My man Yakbu, could we as the viewership please ask you to kindly don the robe of shame?
Is Jakob? He's talking about Jacob.
Jacob.
Yeah,
Okay. Sorry. My fault. My mistake. I didn't get that reference.
Jakub.
Okay, on to you guys. Mr. Box Office, have you got time to wait? Have you got time to wait, Mr. Box Office? You got time for us? I could call because if you had to shoot, because I like hearing from you. But Orchy was here first. Orchy, I know it was 3-2, so scoreline wise it looks close, but you were blown away in the first half. What went wrong today, my friend?
Yeah. Mate, it's difficult to get upset when today we had, look, I know people are going to say, it's excuses, injuries, blah, blah, but, when I saw the starting lineup today, I already knew that Basuma and Johnson were a doubt and, both weren't in the squad today. And then add to that Solanke out as well, plus all the other players that we've got out. I mean, it comes to a point where this is not really an excuse. Like, I mean, if you take away yesterday, Liverpool, right? If you take away Luis Diaz, Mohamed Salah, Virgil van Dijk, Konate, Trent, these are all players that are automatic starters. And if you take away all these automatic starters from our already not good enough squad, then you are going to struggle. I mean, that's just the reality of life. I mean, a lot of the stuff that you were saying about... I have to agree. I
have to agree. I know people don't like injuries being an excuse, but it's practically your entire starting 11 is out. Right, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, it's beyond a joke. It's ridiculous. So, I will. There's certain, like, it's difficult for me to say Ange. I'm still not Ange out because I still don't think that he's had the time to put together a squad that's good enough. Exactly what you were saying about Amorim. All right, obviously this is his second season. But at the end of the day, yes, it's a manager's job to get the best out of what he's got. But what he's got isn't good. We know it's not good enough anyway. You know, like this season, at the start of this season, we bought Solanke, we bought Odebe. Odebe played about 3 games and then he got injured and we haven't seen him since. And this is a guy who possibly could have been or was supposed to be the understudy for Son on the left-hand side. I mean, I'm not even putting Werner in there because Werner's the biggest waste of space I've ever seen in my life. But even Werner's injured, so what is Ange supposed to do? Like, somebody please tell me, all right, bring in the whole of the youth team and stick them in there and we still would have lost this game. So, what is Ange going to do? So,
yeah. I hear you. No, I hear you on that. Look, you probably.
You know what I mean? But I am also.
I'll say, go on.
I'm angry. I'm also really angry about, and you know me. I come on show after show after show. 3 weeks in, some of those super chats are also correct. 3 weeks in, and Levy and the board still haven't brought any players in to this squad, this absolutely decimated squad that has already had a lot of problems, and still no. All right, we brought in a goalkeeper who seems to be, he's had some. He's made a couple of mistakes, but overall, I think he seems like a really good keeper. To be honest, he makes me feel more. I think he's, sometimes I get really nervous with Vicario with some of his decision making. I think he seems a little bit more, his choices and decision making seems a bit more solid than Vicario. But time will tell. But this is only his fourth game in our shirt. He's literally he's come into the club and boom, he's straight into the team, which is fair enough. And I think he's done all right. But apart from that, we need defenders, we need midfielders, we need wingers. We need a backup to Solanke because Richarlison isn't it. We know Richarlison hasn't been, isn't it? So we do need players. So how can I'm sorry, the way I see football and the way I assess things is that first and foremost, the one area where our club has been let down time after time is the board. And this goes back all the way to even like peak Poch years. Levy and the board have never ever really backed players. Yes, they buy one or two decent players, and then the rest of them they buy are kids or potentials, which they never end up really fulfilling that potential. So, right now, our current problem, I fully, before I can criticize Ange, what I will criticize Ange on, and I'm not saying he's guilt-free, is like, for example, Jed Spence, right? Since he's been in that team, since he had to bring him in, he's only playing because he's forced to play him. And the reason, why I'm blaming Ange is, well, had he given a couple of those players a chance, because before all this injury crisis, Jed Spence wasn't getting a look in, and I'd never understood that personally. But since he's come in, I think he's been one of our best players. And if he'd brought him in earlier, if he'd actually given him a chance earlier, maybe he could have given Udogie, he could have given Porro a few more breaks, a few more rotations, and maybe our back line would have been as decimated as it is right now. So, those are the kind of questions that I would ask of Ange. But overall, at the moment, it's beyond ridiculous just how many players we've got, and it's like it gets worse week after week after week. It's like every week we get a couple of more players injured. It's ridiculous.
I understand that, Kate. That's right. That's fine, mate. Get it off your chest. That's what the fan highlight show is for. Kate, I know we spoke before, and I'm not going to ask you the question about Ange in or Ange out because I know your view on it. So I'm not going to insult you with the same question again. In terms of today, I mean, your team is injured through and through. Were you expecting any better in terms of the performance or the result today? You're on mute. Okay.
Sorry, I'm kind of numb to it. I think it's all quite funny because if you don't laugh, you literally would cry as a Tottenham fan. I backed us to lose today. I did it in a pre-match pump up and said that we'd lose. I got slated for it. As far as the injuries go, if you go back to December 2021 and Google it, there's an article about Celtic being run over with hamstring injuries due to Ange's training and system. And it's a little bit coincidental, the same thing's happening at Tottenham. So I think there is definitely some sort of, we've never suffered the injury crisis that we've got now. But even
Solanke's ankle, was that Ange's hamstring issue?
But you can nitpick odd ones, Jacob, but I'm talking about
general. But in general, when you say you have, let's just throw an arbitrary number. When I say there's 20 of this, but there's not, that's just not true. You're saying there's all these problems due to Ange's tactics and the training methods. I don't think that's true.
Solanke's training, and he gets a muscle injury, which suddenly develops.
He is an ankle injury.
6 weeks.
It's an ankle injury because he was taking a shot. He just said it in a press conference.
Oh, okay. That's come out in the press conference. I haven't seen that. But there's a lot of non-contact injuries. And this cult of Ange, which I hate, Jacob, I hate that people say
Basuma also got a knock. I'm just saying that we could spin narratives, but like if we want to talk about the actual injuries, it's not all Ange's fault.
What about Bentancur?
Yeah, go on. Say your bit.
7 games. Sorry, Kate, I'm sorry.
Can we just let Kate finish what she was saying, though, please, guys? I'll get you interjected. We can let Kate finish what she was saying. Sorry, Kate.
This guy has got our team. That team he put out today was good enough to beat Everton, without any shadow of a doubt. That is a good enough team to beat Everton. Not one of those players looked like they knew what they were doing. Until Mikey Moore came on, I thought we were absolutely appalling. This manager, I haven't been Ange out once. Right now, I couldn't give a monkeys if Ryan Mason takes over because I really do see this manager taking us into the relegation stuff. We're lucky we're 8 points clear of it because we are terrible. I could put that team out in a better formation with better tactics than Ange Postecoglou done today. And I'm sick to death of hearing excuses for this manager. Jim's telling me to calm down in case I have a heart attack. But do you know what? He's the most protected manager I've ever known in my life. And he's doing the worst job. How are we sitting in 15th place with a plus 11 goal difference? It's mind-boggling. This team is not a bad team. We've got some really good players in that team. Even with injuries, the team he put out today, for me, can walk on that pitch and beat Everton. But the right hand didn't know what the left hand was doing. People were out of position. It was just an absolute shambles. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but the thing is also, what I want to say, Kate, to that is some of your points I agree with, but then you also have to keep in mind that literally this injury crisis hasn't been ongoing for the last couple of weeks. We've had this since literally from September onwards. And literally since September onwards, we've played 3 games a week. You know, it's like we play weekend, midweek, weekend, midweek, weekend,
And
midweek.
he's got players like Lancashire on the bench, kids that he said he's investing in the youth. He don't play them.
Yeah, that's the bit. That's what I was going to get to. That's the bit that I would. That's the bit that I would actually criticize Ange about, because he says he's willing to play good players, good youth players, but he never seems to do it. I don't see him ever, like when we are going through certain patches or even like midweek games. Right, you know, give the player that you just played 90 minutes, give him a break and try, you know, bring in some of these players like Jed Spence and Lancashire and, you know, all right, Mikey Moore's been out as well. He's only just come back.
Why doesn't he do it? Why doesn't he do it? Because he can't do it, because he hasn't
that's
got
what I would
it
ask
here
him.
to do it in the Premier League.
That's what I would ask him. Yeah, I mean, but at the same time,
I get you guys. I just want to go to I'm going to come to Jacob next, and I'm going to go to you, box office. Jacob, how do you see this? Because obviously today you got the injuries, you got the problems. You got Kate here saying that you still had a team good enough to beat them, and Ange is being protected. Orchy, on the other hand, it's more the board have done this by not building a good enough squad, you know, and the injuries are not on the manager. How do you see this, Jacob?
I think, first of all, more than one thing can be true. Just because I don't think that all these injuries are down to Ange Postecoglou doesn't mean that it could be down to Ange Postecoglou. We're not there at training, but when the manager says he goes to take a shot and he twisted his ankle, that doesn't sound like Ange twisted his ankle. When Romero takes a knock, that is different than the injury he just came back from versus Chelsea. I don't see that. So there's a lot to me that I disagree with, and then there is some things that I do agree with. So in the notion of where we are in the table, like we all said we'd take mid-table and a cup run and a solid cup run, but this is below mid-table, and it's getting to a point where, like, what do you do? I don't know. I don't know that you bring a manager in and cool, you have a good 6 weeks of players actually trying again. But to me, that's just going back to the 18-month cycle. I'm not like, I just don't even know where we go from here, because there's no sign of he changed. He did what everyone asked him to do. Change the formation, try this, try that. Everyone's FIFA manager. Everyone knows when the right sub should be. Everyone knows what the perfect 11 is. Well, he changed it all up, and we got bumped 3-0 in the first half. So then he went back to what worked, and then we, 3-2. And it's not good. Even if we drew 3-3, I would still feel the same way, because to me, this is an inexcusable result. Based off of every compounding evidence that we've gotten to this point, losing or drawing to Everton is unacceptable. So if you sack the guy, I really couldn't care anymore. If you keep the guy, I really couldn't care anymore. I just feel as though, I was texting KJ earlier, I just want to evaporate. I just want to just be ascended to the clouds. Don't worry about me no more. I'll rain down one day. And it's like, I just feel so lost with where we're going, because it does start from the top. Like, if the head of the snake doesn't have any idea which way it's going, how's the back of the snake going to know? And we're here as fans in the back of the snake, and we're just along for the ride. So to me, it's been not an enjoyable ride. It's been a slow deterioration, but I still stand on the business that I don't think this is all Ange's fault. These problems are indicative of Tottenham Hotspur, and this club has often been that for a lot of managers. You can't tell me that Ange Postecoglou, our fourth choice manager in the summer, is supposed to do things that Jose Mourinho and Antonio Conte couldn't do with this club. Now, those are two serial winners, and they came here and found it running up a mountain hill. So to me, I don't think it's all his fault, but he is at fault for some of the things.
Exactly what you were saying at the beginning, Terry, about, Spurs need to decide whether they're a kind of club where, you bring in the likes of, Mourinho's and Conte's. But if you do bring those kind of managers, you have to go out there and spend 300 million, 400 million to build them a squad. Whereas Tottenham have never been that kind of, or at least Levy has never been that kind of thing.
You can't go and buy a Ferrari unless you have the money to run a Ferrari. You can't put crap fuel in it. You can't put crap oil in it. You can't put rubbish tires on it. It's fucking expensive to insure, and driving to the shops costs about £100. You need to, and that's an important point, because you can't be a big club unless you're prepared to pay the wages. So, and this isn't a dig at Tottenham, and I always say this, I know people take it as one. You need to decide on what you want to be, but whatever you decide, you've got to be prepared to spend that money. The reason some people saying, Terry, Man United have been dead for years. Why are you still frustrated? Because we spend the same money on salaries and transfers as all the clubs at the top in all the major leagues. If we started spending the same as Brighton, I wouldn't be happy with that decision, but then coming mid-table. Well, we only spend what mid-table teams spend, so therefore we're mid-table. Spurs feel to me like you're in between two different things. You feel like you're
Terry,
in between.
This goes back to Pochettino when the stadium was built. He said it's no good having a beautiful house if you're going to fill it with crap furniture. It's been
true.
going on for years, and it's because of that.
No, it's Ange's fault.
That runs our football club.
There's a super chat here. I want to pose
1,000%.
I wanna
agree
pose
with you
this-
1,000%.
I want to pose a super chat to Mr. Box Office. It says Spurs have been crap since November 2023. You can't blame all things on injuries. It's amazing that Ange, over 70 games in, is still protected by his first 10. How do you feel about all of this, Mr. Box Office? If you know, you know.
We got Terry. Sorry. Yeah, big up Terry, big up to the Football Terrace. Mr. Box Office back in the building, talking the truth like I always did about this manager. It's funny now, there's a word that I need to say, and someone just said it, and I've said it a couple of times. I've been told I'm a fool, I'm an Arsenal fan for saying this. Excuses, what I've just heard just right now. Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Some people have had a go at me and they're saying the same thing I've been saying since June 2023 about this manager. That I said that was absolutely bang average as far as I'm concerned. I couldn't get behind somebody I didn't really know about him. Well, I know now he's not a really good. Well, I knew he's not a good coach. It's exactly what we need, a coach. He's not, and that's it for me. People now make excuses about the injuries. Well, against Newcastle, we had our full team out, only Van der Ven, because we knew his hamstring was going to tick. Look what happened. We lost the game. Ipswich. Do you ever going to have excuses about Ipswich? We had a full team there, didn't we? We still lost the game at home, by the way. What about Leicester City? We drew the game. We had our full team out. So I don't want to hear these excuses. It's because of this manager, right? Who's staying and who's getting back? Because let's be honest here, he's the worst manager since Christian Gross. Let that sink in. Let that sink in. 1998. Yeah, back in 1998, we're talking about here. You know what I mean? And you're telling me that he should be like this excuses. I didn't even like Mourinho, and I'm going to say it right now because Terry's going to pull me up on it because I was on this show before that I couldn't stand Mourinho. I couldn't stand Conte. I couldn't stand Nuno, but they're better than this manager right now. I'm sorry, right? As far as I'm concerned, it's on the manager, right? The fact that people are loving this manager so much, that's why people talk about Daniel Levy. It's got nothing to do with Daniel Levy. It's got absolutely nothing to do with Daniel Levy right now because Daniel Levy would have sacked him by now and he would have been out the door. You know what I mean? The only reason why I'm saying don't sack him. I don't want Mason in charge, right? Because we got a second plan. Because I'll take Areola over this manager. I'll take Marco Silva over this manager. I'll take Eddie Howe if he was available over this manager because they are coaches. Pochettino was a coach. Martin Jol was a coach. Harry Redknapp wasn't a coach, he was a manager, but he had coaches under him that gave him. I've got on good authority. He's got coaches under this guy that he doesn't even listen to. And don't even get me started on Johan Lang, because now I'm even more embarrassed myself that I criticised Parategy. I want him doing the transfers again. How embarrassing is that? See, hindsight's a beautiful thing back at being a Tottenham fan, like I said, every single time. You know what I mean? That's why the song goes like this. Back to life, back to reality. Back to reality again for Tottenham fans again and again. Every single time. I need to go back to going to the Soko event, brother, because I've had enough of this rubbish. You know what I mean? Kate can tell the truth, even though she's been criticising me how many times, and that's it. But big up to you, Jacob, because we're always turning up and everything else, and that. I'm out of it. I'm out of this crap, man. I've had enough of this. Big up back to you, Terry, to say something stupid.
I love you, bro.
Did you just leave?
Can I just
You know what's really funny? You know what's really funny? I love about him. Me and him actually agree on most things Tottenham. He just still holds it against me that I still think there's an element of truth to this. Some blokes, they get left by their missus or their missus leaves and they never get over it. 30 years, 40 years. Like he is still holding a torch for Pochettino is what part of it is. But yeah,
I don't understand the Tottenham fans have been doing this for a while. They're like, look, I picked the losing lottery numbers. How smart am I? It's like, that's the easy choice, right? I feel like it's harder to try and back something that is less plausible to happen.
You get it in the walks. This was directed towards me earlier, but it's simple. From Harrison Long. He said, Terry, interesting how in the past you were told to stop talking about owners. So Man United had been bad up until Ineos. whenever I mention the owners, I got told, don't talk about the owners. Don't speak about what they do, players and manager. Ever since Ineos got here, every show it's what about your owners? What about your owners? What about your owners? And this is the way people work online. If they predict something being bad, there's almost like this. There is such this narcissism around I've got to be right. And now listen, we all at times will speak about things that we've got right or we've got wrong. You can't not do that in this sort of space. But it's a bit weird at times. It's almost like, I don't know about you. I know he seemed angry, but he seemed more happy to say I told you so than anything else. Maybe that's just me. Maybe that's how I come across. But yeah, there we go.
I'm not going to say who, but I've had big Tottenham content creators text me saying that they like it more when we lose because they get less abuse than when we win because of whatever. So to me, when YouTube starts skewing how you want the game to go for your club, that's a problem.
I agree. I think if you look, just don't even think Tottenham or Man United, look at certain content creators across all clubs, when their team, if they're like uber positive, look how they behave on shows where their team's losing. If they're uber negative, look how they start behaving on shows, especially watch-alongs, when their team starts winning. You can see in their head, it's, my next show isn't going to do as well, or my numbers are going to drop, or I can't say I was right. And it's a problem for them. And for me, it's, I don't know. I find it all a little bit strange. You know, I get called out all the time for like why are you backing Ineos? It's like, well, actually, for the first time in the last 11 years, I've been given what I asked for, which was ownership that he's going to try and rebuild and restructure the whole club. That's why I'm not going crazy, because if they end up, it's going to take 3 to 4 years. And it's like every day I'm being told, well, you've got to give us a new assessment on how things are going. I'm not going to give a progress update after every training session or every match. We need to do it in chunks. You know what I mean? Maybe every 6 months, every you sort of look at it. Is it going in the right direction, a bad direction? I just find it really strange but the reason that is because people are kind of desperate to be right. And this will happen in the Man United fan base. Say we start next season really well, win our first 3 or 4, 5 games, 6 games. It'll be, Terry, you said it's going to take 3 or 4 years to get this good. No, it's going to take 3 or 4 years to get to a level where we could potentially challenge year in, year out for Premier Leagues. That's not go on a good run here or win a trophy there. I don't know. Sometimes it's hard having these conversations.
It's like Jacob said. Sorry, I was just going to say it's easier to say the bad thing's going to happen because most of the time it does. And then you can go, see, I told you so. I get it all the time. Alex basically said there that I've been saying to him all this time and now I've changed my tune. Well, I just prefer to give people time before I judge. But there's only so much defending of a manager.
And Kate, and everyone has a breaking point, right? Everyone has a certain limit of patience that they can give to any player, manager, or anything of the sort. So it's all relative at the end of the day. That's why with Kate saying that she's done now or she was done before, or Henry comes here and he said he was done a long time ago. It doesn't really matter. It's relative.
Then what you get is the people, but I said it first, so how dare you now say it?
Yeah.
And it's not so much people. Sometimes I look at it this way with United. It's like, okay, I weren't happy with that thing that Ineos did today. But it's like, rivals aren't talking about it. The media are not really talking about it. Why are we like bringing a negative light on sometimes I feel like you don't need to bring a negative light on your club. And it's like, so I'm calling out why are you bringing it up? Fair enough. And a year later, I might go, actually, now that that's being said, well, you shouldn't mention it now because you didn't call it out a year ago. Fucking says who? The battle of I see it the other day with there's something that it came up with the other day. My head's now gone. But Hussam gets it all the time with slot out. It was a funny bit of banter a few weeks ago when he first started saying we might win the league. But then once you bantered him, you leave it up. There are people every show. Oh, Hussam, remember when he was slot out? Yeah, he got something wrong. So what? He made an opinion. He changed his mind. It's kind of strange. It is really, really strange.
Yeah, and as a married man, I'm used to being wrong, so I'm totally fine if I'm wrong. I don't care. I'm used to it.
I hear you.
I'll be happy to be wrong every week as long as if
Spurs win. That's all I care about. I'll be wrong about everything as long as Spurs win.
David here says, remember when Ange rushed Romero and Van der Ven, then he got injured right away. We needed to hold him accountable.
Different injuries, though. Romero had one injury that he came back from. Then he got a separate injury on a separate leg. So not relevant.
What happened with Bentancur, right? The guy got 7 games suspension. And in the game that he comes back in the first 10 minutes, he weird freak act, the way he tried to get that ball. and then now
That
he's been out
was-
since, with concussion. So it's
Have
just,
they
you
said
can't
what
make
happened
this
to him?
up.
Was it just concussion where he hit his head on the floor? Is that all that happened?
Mm.
All right, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically, he just did, he weirdly tried to get his head to the ball and just end up smacking the
okay,
the
good.
ground
Well, not
instead,
good, but
and it was
better than some of the mad rumors I was hearing. So yeah, really good
Yeah.
news that. He showed no plan or effort. He just lets it happen. No commanding, no voice, no emotion. Arms crossed, ignoring the fans. It's not good at all. It's dangerously bad. I think it's a money thing. I think they're talking about Big Ange. There must be Big Ange talking about. I would assume. Yeah, look, I think. Listen, the one thing I'd say in defense of Ange is, I think to be a kind of head coach or a manager, I think there is a certain level of arrogance you have to have as a person. And I almost think that's important because of the level of scrutiny that you get. It's the first time in his career he's probably faced this level of scrutiny, a team being this bad. And that's hard for an ego to take a little bit. So
And he's not the first.
no,
Jose, Conte, we can go down the list. Everyone comes here, and this is the hardest hill to climb. There's a reason for that. Oh, but it's Ange's fault.
Blaze says all these waffle about injuries you see every week. You'll play an offside trap from the halfway line, and you wonder why you keep getting injuries. Even City don't do that.
I don't think we run an offside trap at the halfway line, personally. And the high line hasn't even been the issue of conceding goals, in my opinion. But
Here we go.
everyone sees the game different.
Ange is a Graham Potter at Chelsea. That's what Ange is. Separate, but not. I do want to ask is he in it for the money? Because his emotion and arms crossed, no emotion stuff was talking to him on the sidelines, and he just ignored them. Well, you mean like he's doing it so he gets sacked, so he just gets the money? I don't know.
I don't see Ange personally as that kind of a guy, but I don't know him personally, so I don't know. He could be. Who cares? He's an old dude trying to get the bag, fine, but I don't know him personally. I know he wants to win. He shows and exudes that he's very frustrated every time we lose, and then everyone's like, oh, why aren't you all happy? We just drew a game we should have won. And he's like, well, of course he's not going to be happy in a post-match presser, but, I mean, to me, he looks frustrated as hell, just like every Tottenham fan. He is exuding what I think every Tottenham fan is feeling in that moment, which is arms crossed, and they're tired of seeing this.
Yeah, and there are some people who flap their arms around and screaming and shouting and going red, and there are other people who do just stand there and just kind of.
But if he's getting paid 9 million a year, there's something he should be geeing them players up and shouting at them players. I'm sorry.
So we want to get him pom-poms and a tutu and let him dance around and go Tottenham. We got it, boys.
Doing that. It'd be more entertaining than the football.
I feel like grown men should be able to like look around at the other players on the pitch, the ones who kick the ball, and say, let's do better. Let's stop giving the ball away. Let's play composed. Let's not allow singing fans to rattle us. But you saw 10 Tamworth fans outside the grounds was enough to rattle us.
Well, yeah, but then you can say the captain should be able to do that as well. But I don't see any of that.
Yes, the leadership group is Ange's fault, and me and a few others said that I feel like that might be his downfall is appointing the leadership group.
But there is that, and at the same time, I still also think when you look at your ownership, give him something new, give him something different. You can clearly see that there's a confidence crisis within the squad at the moment, and a new player or two can just help change that mood. My club's going through the same thing. I know we're probably trying to sell before we buy. Well, that's what I'm hoping we're looking to do, because if we do let Anthony and Garnacho and Rashford go and we bring nobody else in, we'll be in even more trouble, because at least they're a body, if that makes sense. But I just feel like you guys really could do with a shot in the arm. Thank you, Luke Skywalker, for asking everyone to hit the like button. I think we're 4-0 at half time now, 3-0 currently. By the way, Phil Foden, 7 GA in his last 4 games. He was rightfully criticised for the first half of this season because he was poor. But I do remember all those people writing off his first 5 years and saying that means nothing because of the last 6 months. What a bunch of plebs. What a bunch of plebs. He was always going to come back and be near his brilliant best again. He just had a bad few months along with everyone else in that world-class City team. But there we go. Look, yeah. Guys, thank you all very much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. My panel, you've been amazing. To all of the super chatters, you're out of this world. We're back after Man City versus Ipswich, so make sure you're tuning in for that game. This is going to redirect you to Hassam's watch along, so go and watch him, and make sure you go and call him a pussy in a tree, please. Just go and spam it now. Pussy in a tree. Until next time, take care, goodbye, God bless, and I'll see you all again soon.